Hey everybody, Happy New Year! Happy 2024. Let's make this a good one. I'm going to keep going with this because I'm getting a lot out of it. Not to mention the smell. I do love a book. But this is what now, the third month I think, that I've been doing these daily videos, and I think it's really useful for me. And I'm hoping that you find it to be so as well. Going through the book and then talking about my ideas, what it means to me, I just find it to be really useful for my recovery. And one of the things I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 months is that my sort of feeling of anxiety and depression has gone. I don't want to say, do I want to celebrate with that? I think I should, yeah, because it has gone. I noticed that when I was writing my pages this morning, which, as you'll know, I do every morning in this little notebook here. And when I sat down to write, I wasn't feeling in a great mood. By the time I got to the end of it, I was feeling pretty good, in fact, better than pretty good. So as I was getting towards the end of it, I decided that I was going to let's look at what's working. No alcohol or drugs, no depression. And I underlined it and wrote it in capitals. If you want to read the rest, you can do that over at camscampbell.com. I would welcome you over there so you can see what a daily writing habit can do for one's mental health, self-esteem, mood, all of that fun stuff. And the Stoicism is helping. Might not be your thing, but I don't really care. It's my thing. It's helping. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. For the 1st of January. So this month is going to be about clarity. And it's part 1 of the book, which covers Q1, to use a business term. And part 1 is titled The Discipline of Perception. Then we've got clarity in January, passions and emotions in February, awareness in March, and unbiased thought in April. So, for what it's worth, that's what's coming up. So part 1, the discipline of perception, January 1st, Epictetus, Discourses. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. Yeah, that's a good one to start the year with. As I was reading that, I was thinking about the Serenity Prayer that I learned when I first started coming to Alcoholics Anonymous. And the authors go on to talk about that in the synopsis below, which, of course, you can get the book if you would like to read that. Description down, link in the description down below. And the Serenity Prayer is: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that has helped me through the years. Here's an incident when I was feeling particularly angry about something trivial. It tends to be the way, isn't it? And I called my AA sponsor, and he suggested the Serenity Prayer. So I used it and it worked, and then I called him back and I said it worked, and he was like, yeah, I know. I think it's just that mantra, repeating something over and over to get one out of one's head, but also there's so much in that little prayer. You know, worrying about stuff you can't change isn't useful, and changing the things that you can. And then that last line, the wisdom to know the difference. That's not something that comes easily. I still struggle with that sometimes. But the more I practice it, the easier it becomes, like most things, isn't it? So, yeah. And the other thing is that I learned in AA was about that you can change anything in the world except for people, places and things. Which in other words means the only thing you can change is yourself and how you react and how you act in the world. So that's what I'm taking from that reading today. Stick with me. We'll go through the book and hopefully you'll find it useful. But even if you don't, I will. So that's why I do this, to help myself to become well and to be able to have a good year. Since we're on the first day of the year, I can practice these things and move forwards positively and without thinking of myself as a victim. I can change that, and I intend to. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.